Hello, everybody, and welcome to
Hey.
Always the Worst. I am Chris, and join me today, as always, is
Me.
this guy.
My name is Mark.
It is that
Yes, I
guy.
know. As always, I have no escape.
No,
I
we're
have no excuses.
we're always here for.
Actually, no, I won't be.
Oh, I think we'll need to get into that actually, won't we?
Hey guys, Michael here once again. Once again, of a night shift. It's great. I love it. I love night shift so much. But this week, minute movie review, Batman and Robin. Let's get into it. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. This film had absolutely no right being 2 hours long. Right, you watch through it and you're like, right, that can be removed, that can be removed, that can be removed. There's just tons of just pointless shit going on in this film that it just doesn't need to be there. I like to call this film the Mum and Dad's Batman, and that's how I like to phrase it. It's the reason it's a Batman film that's solely made just so the mum and dad can watch it, because there's Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy and there is George Clooney as Batman, so it's just made for parents apparently. Um, it was a bold choice to change the origin of Barbara Gordon and have her not related to Commissioner Gordon at all, but oh well, what are you going to do? It's a different film adaptation. A lot of Mr. Freeze's ice jokes weren't really jokes, they were just him saying ice-related things, but that's his MO, I guess. I am living for Mr. Freeze's dressing gown and polar bear slippers. Absolutely brilliant. What else is about this film? Oh yeah, it's utter garbage. It is trash. It's 2 hours of your life you'll never get back. Don't watch it.
You're saying.
Yeah.
What happened there? Oh my goodness.
The goddamn Michael hacking us.
He did. He really lived up to his Android name with his review there by hacking the stream.
God damn it, Michael. Like,
You've been warned.
can't you just turn up like everyone else?
Exactly right. So I think we need to talk about the situation with the podcast going forward. Before we get into fun stuff, let's get the horrible stuff out the way. What's happening next Friday, Mark?
I'll have to go back to work, but I mean, I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing on Fridays. So we might still have our chances to do Friday podcasts, but not next week. That's for sure.
No. So fingers crossed, we might get a Micheal next week. Who knows?
Hey, you can fill in.
Yeah, we can get.
And I'll just turn up like randomly on beaming myself in.
And on that note, I will be working soon as well. I've got a week's worth of training to do next week before I start working in the care home, which is a shift pattern. So there's a good chance I'll be working Fridays on and off. So who knows what's going to happen? We are thinking of moving this into more of a Spotify thing again, because it gives us a better place. Because as we were discussing, Twitch, you need to have pretty rigid schedule for it to really make an impact. So we might need to bite the bullet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see us necessarily not doing Twitch, but like it would just be not in consistent time zones or time places. So you would have to kind of just hope you catch us if you're really looking forward to listening to our rambles.
Even worse so, like hope you get a notification, because apparently no one does.
Yeah, I just got a notification 1 second ago that we were live, despite being live for the past 5 minutes.
Do you know what's horrible about that? If anybody got a notification and starts jumping in, they missed Michael's segment.
Oh no! Right, we'll replay it. Actually, just watch the pod.
Yeah, watch the pod.
You know how to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, Donna got it 5 minutes in as well. So yeah, Twitch, step up your game for our podcast. What you doing?
Or maybe we should just have a 5 minute intro period where nothing happens.
We just sit like this.
Are you watching yet? Are you watching?
Why won't you watch us?
Tell me.
So, today we are looking at Batman and Robin.
I'm fucking drained after watching this, by the way. Like, I forgot how dreadful that film was. Like, I thought there was like, redeeming features here and there, but like, Jesus, man, I watched this entire thing and I was just like waiting for it to end.
I liked it.
What?
I actually quite enjoyed it. It felt like I was watching a Batman game. Like, see if you gritted this up slightly. That is
Okay.
every Arkham game. As
Yes,
I
I get what you mean. It has the same kind of plot as like, someone's kind of taken over the city. We have to deploy and destroy like two bad guys
yeah.
and
Secondly, this feels like a Marvel film, not done as good as Marvel because it's just all about jokes. Every Marvel
oh,
film's the same. All the newer Marvel films is all just about making as much fun as possible.
I don't
Not done as
I
well.
don't see where the fun is, Chris. Like I
Arnie makes
understand
ice
that
puns constantly, and I
I understand that the idea behind it was to make something campy and enjoyable, kind of akin to the 60s Batman sort of style. But the thing is, it's very I don't know what's the word I would use. Not anachronistic, but like clashing of themes, whereby you've got the pretty much lifted the Batman from like Tim Burton's one,
Mhm.
right, and put it into the wrong scenario. See if Joel Schumacher just had like the balls to say, "Fuck it, this is a completely new Batman thing that's wacky as hell."
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, because do you know, with that, I found Arnie's Mr. Freeze quite fun. I quite liked Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy, and then the stupid Bane. Do you know what ruined it? Batman was boring. Like actual
He has
down.
no personality in the
No,
entire
no.
film.
It's like he was the part of the film that really brought it down. Like him and Robin, like their whole story of falling out, and then
Mhm.
the biker moments with Batgirl. I'm just like, this doesn't. None of this needs to be here. Just give me
Yeah,
big
like
ridiculous set pieces.
well, the thing is, it should be there. There should be like some sort of Bruce Wayne storyline, but there's like I can't even figure out what it is. For some reason, Bruce Wayne seems to have like a girlfriend. But is she important in somehow? Did we
No,
know who she was?
nope.
She's just there. So he has this girlfriend, but then he still at the same time is unable to notice that he's being manipulated into liking Poison Ivy.
Hmm.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
what? What did you just throw in like these little character segments here and there because you forgot that Bruce Wayne needed to be a thing?
He,
And you were like, oh shit, like he's still doing his billionaire stuff over here.
yeah.
The plot move forward,
Yeah.
please.
Do you know? So there were some bits of this that I actually really enjoyed, and do you know most of it was production. The set
Yeah,
designs
like
in this were unbelievable.
yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing about this. If I have to say one thing positive, is that the actual like set design and world building in this is crazy. Like, I don't know who had the scope to think of like some giant statue that leans out with a massive arm that connects to other skyscrapers
Yes.
and like that whole segment where like Freeze is falling from a spacecraft to
Yeah.
like freeze everything as he goes down and like turn everything into ice. Like when the cops get turned to ice in the museum as well. Like all of the practical effects, all of the set pieces are so like out of this world,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean. Like they've all got like techno neon lights
Yeah.
with lasers and spotlights.
I, it's so
It's
cool.
everything.
It's just so cool because this is the first. See, after watching Batman Begins, which is
Mm.
probably one of the best Batman of it.
Batman.
Imagine having like maybe not as ridiculous over the top, but see their depiction of Gotham, which kind of looks
Mhm.
like Judge Dredd. See, like remember
It-
Stacey,
yeah.
that Gotham with gritty Batman. Because again, I don't like modern looking Gotham. It looks boring. It looks meh.
Mhm.
Imagine not as over the top because you have to ground it, but see having the statues. It's like the observatory is getting held up by a giant statue,
But like
and I love that.
the thing you're looking for is called the Batman the animated series,
Yes.
where they have the Art Deco stylings and all the kind of wonderful set pieces, but it's more grounded Batman. Yeah.
Oh, I'd be
Like,
just imagine a live action that looked like that though. I'd be so cool.
but this is where the problem lies. We can literally compare this to Saturday morning kids cartoons, and this comes off as more wacky.
Yeah, do you know what? I said that when I was watching it, but I kind of liked that. I was right into the fact that I was like, I felt like I had to go downstairs and grab a bowl of cereal when I was watching it.
Yeah,
It's like I should
I
have
think
put my back into my pajamas, sat in my bowl of cereal, and just had like a toy or something next to me as I watched
yes,
it.
you need an action figure to sit next to you as well. That's the feeling that it gives you. Um, it is a very unique feeling,
Mhm.
but as I say, it's for me, it's at odds with what the Batman franchise was up until that point.
Yeah,
So taking into account that this is still the Tim Burton universe, right? Because
yeah.
it's got an Alfred between them all, doesn't it? I
I
think.
think so because I'm pretty sure that Alfred is at least in the last Joel Schumacher one, or is this the first? This is the second Schumacher one they did too.
This is the second
Yeah.
Schumacher one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
But this is what I'm trying to figure out because I'm pretty sure he was in all of them. Or am I just getting that wrong?
I
Like,
feel like he was. Um,
I need to check that because, like, I'm actually gonna look at his like IMDb right now because I feel like I may be just misremembering stuff.
possibly. But Hannah has made a good point about George Clooney. He is as interesting as beige paint.
Yep, and the thing is, he brings zero to this role.
When you think of like Bruce Wayne, George Clooney
Mhm.
is a perfect Bruce Wayne, and he doesn't even act like George Clooney when he's being Bruce Wayne. Because
Mhm.
imagine if he was the Ocean's 11 version of George Clooney when he's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
That's Bruce Wayne. Suave, a bit up himself, knows that he's better than everybody because he's Batman and he's got all this going on. But in this one, he's just like,
Yep. And the worst thing about it is there's no personality shift when he becomes Batman. He's literally still just plain beige George Clooney,
Yeah.
but standing around in a rubber costume now.
Mhm.
Like his motions in the movie are just like as static as his costume is. He does nothing, and I can't even remember him actually throwing a punch in the entire film.
no, I remember his stuntman changing because that change of his stuntman is very obvious with him because George Clooney can't move in that suit, and he obviously have
Yeah.
another suit that's a bit more movable because you see them doing flips and stuff. That I enjoyed actually. Bat nipples.
Oh, you talking the bat nipples? Yeah, I mean, we can't talk about this film without mentioning bat nipples. Like, for some reason, whoever they got in to replace the costume designers from the previous Tim Burton movies has decided that every single costume in this film must have like a centerpiece around the chest area. Like, Freeze has got these kind of glowing breast pieces, and everyone's got
Right.
nipples and butts.
Here's a question for you then. See that Batman suit? See if you took away some of the over sexualized parts of it, like the nipples, and then the absolute perfect curved backside and junk.
Yep.
Do you think they're actually quite nice looking suits outside of the super sexual bits? Because
The Batman? No.
no,
Batman looks ridiculous.
I
Like
liked
its ears
Robin.
start at its neckline and it goes all the way up to about here. Whereas like Robin's suit,
it's
yes.
quite cool looking, right? With the Robin going across.
I kind of feel like that design pretty much established how most comic book artists draw Nightwing from that point on.
Possibly actually, because that's
whenever I
very
look at, like,
Nightwing.
Yeah, like because that's what I'm saying. Like it's got that very much like the full chest piece that goes to the shoulders. That's like such a Nightwing thing
Yeah.
with the full black body, without the nipples, of course,
Yeah.
because no one else does it with the nipples.
I wish they gave him a green cape.
Yes
See-
and
see-
no. I mean, like
no,
something to define him. Yeah.
yeah, not like really bright green, but see, like it's almost black, but if you look at it right, it's a green cape. See that like really dark,
Yeah, like
forest, like really dark
they call
foresty color.
dark angel paint,
Yes.
like for Warhammer. That's my only reference for like a super dark green.
Yes.
Like something like that would be cool, but like at the same time, I'm not going to knock his costume because it's the best one in the entire film. Whereas when you get to what's her name in this, Batgirl?
Oh, hers
Is
was-
that what they're
yeah.
calling her?
I don't know.
Batgirl's costume feels like it was a complete afterthought. She has like you can see who it is.
Yeah.
Like no person in the world, if they knew what's her name in this, Barbara what? Because she's not Barbara Gordon
It's
for some reason.
Alfred's
Niece?
grandniece, or something.
But she's not like Pennyworth, so she's like a different family as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. She was,
And she was-
something.
And she was raging that Alfred's a butler when it was his choice to be a butler.
Yeah. So apparently it's Wilson is what it's called, Barbara Wilson, right? And she gets this costume that you could recognize her anywhere in the street. Like if someone saw her, be like, "Holy shit, you're the Batgirl!" Like I literally see your hair, your face. And it's just this little tiny domino mask with a bat on it,
Yeah.
and that's it. Nothing is left to the imagination.
True. So, Hannah, is that a him Poison Ivy as in you liked the costume or you hated it? Because I found Poison Ivy's just okay.
Yeah, like
It
think-
wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. It was just like put her in a leotard. sorted.
Yeah, I think that like hers feels the most budget
Yeah.
out of all of them in the film, but again, it's very iconic
Yeah. Do you know
for
what's
the look
do,
because of the hair
yes.
mostly, I think.
Do you know what's
Yeah.
mad about her costume? She didn't have just one. She had like three. She changed a few times, as if they went, "We
Yep.
like this one. No, we'll get her in all green. Then we like this one. We'll get her in a different thing." It was quite cool, like watching her change. She was very much her own over the top character.
I think the villains got more time to shine as their
Oh
personalities in this film
yes.
through everything else because Freeze gets like 4 costumes as well in this one.
Yeah, no, I loved Arnie in this. I forgot how much he just came on set and somebody went, "Just be you," and he's like, "No bother."
But the thing is, like, this is what I don't understand because obviously there's supposed to be puns and jokes, but none of them are particularly funny and none of them seem to have any context. It's almost like he's got a like a brain injury, if you know what I mean. Like he can't talk normally anymore and he has to say things in quips.
Yeah. Do
It's
you know
like
what?
he's got the what you call it, flipping Joss Whedon disease.
Yes, but you know what? See, for me, as an adult watching bad comedy like that, I couldn't help but chuckle at him because everybody around him does give him the look of, "Aye, alright." See, especially his wee crew. His wee crew are just like, "Why am I singing Christmas songs?" Like, this is a question. This is a question. How did he convince all these people to become mass robbers or whatever that is
Mhm.
so that he can save his wife? Like, he's went to the underworld and went,
I mean, I'm guessing it's a threat of "I'll freeze you if you don't," right? I mean, like we have to kind of establish that these guys are probably just doing everything through power, but I really found it hard to understand anyone's motivation because like it starts off with this idea that he's going to rob Jules. We don't know why he's robbing Jules. We don't know why robbing Jules is important to the storyline or why Batman and Robin feel the need to fucking capture this one piece in the entirety of the museum that's getting fucked up.
yeah.
They're like, go get the gem. Why? Why do we need the gem? Someone explain this to me. Why does he have a rocket ship? Why is he shooting this to the moon?
I love
Like,
that.
it just keeps going.
Right,
Like,
this is a mad bit about the moon rocket, right? That was his escape plan. So, into the head of the geriatric Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze,
right, okay, yeah, yeah.
I'm going to escape from the Batman, who apparently I didn't know because they get introduced to him. Like, he apparently didn't know them until that moment. And Robin, by rocketing away. Fair enough, over the top, good plan. But the plan wasn't to send the rocket far away so that I could escape. The plan was that I would become a missile and then jump out with my dinky little wings.
For some reason he has like butterfly wings.
Yes.
Because that's related to ice.
Because
right?
that means if Batman and Robin somehow sneak their way in, I'm actually going to blow it up in the middle of the air, which would do nothing. Because he even says, "I'm going to set it up here and it'll be your tomb as it falls down." He's like, "It's going to kill hundreds of thousands of people." No, it's not. It's really not. There's a good chance this is going to hit nothing.
Well, I mean, it's
Because
no,
the
it's
trajectory of it.
I think it wasn't supposed to explode. I think
Yeah.
the idea of it was supposed to freeze in space, then fall to Earth, causing like a meteorite sort of effect. It was supposed to go to near orbit and then collapse, but they blow up before it gets any higher.
If it goes to near orbit.
See, this is me.
Yeah.
This is me trying to justify the dumbness that was happening.
Because
right?
what it was, he was saying 30,000 feet and you'll stop being able to breathe and stuff. Like, you'll start freezing that way. Unsure if that's the case.
Hey, it happens in Iron Man.
Because I've watched Halo Jumpers, right? And they do wear all the mask and stuff, but I'm pretty sure that they can.
No, they've got
Like-
breathing apparatus and body warmer and stuff to make sure they don't die.
Right, and also on the Halo Jump stuff, because I've been watching a lot of this on Black Rifle Coffee Club, right? See when you do that, right? So say they went up, you have to do specific breathing exercises for about an hour before you go in the plane to go up to do that. Because see, if you don't,
Yeah.
you will start convulsing and having the equivalent of an epileptic fit in the corner because of the
Yeah.
oxygen. So all of them would have been dead anyway. Outside of Mr. Freeze, because apparently he's
I mean, like,
not a normal
I'm not
human.
gonna
So
I'm not gonna try and justify the realities on this situation, but I just want a mild attempt at an explanation as to how he has a rocket ship or why he needs a diamond or anything at all. Like,
He needs a diamond because big diamonds are better for pointing lasers at to power up his big diamond
but
dildo
he
gun
wasn't.
thing to.
But he wasn't. His main objective in the entire fucking movie was not to freeze everything. It was to save his wife.
But the reason I have the answer to this. He was always going to do the observatory plan because he was going to use that to hold the place hostage. He was holding Gotham hostage with the threat of going to freeze all of it, and if they didn't give him the billions for the research, he was going to freeze it. Second point to that, there was already hundreds of diamonds in that place.
No, because remember, it's about halfway through the film they introduced the
I thought
the observatory, isn't it? Because it's after the intro fight that they introduced the observatory, so it wasn't launched or made. They were finishing it as it was happening.
They were finishing the actual observatory bit, but he was talking about holding the place ransom and saying, "I am going to freeze all of Gotham if they don't give me the money."
Yeah, again, I can't understand his character's motivations because we're told later on in the film all he wanted to do was just find a way to save his wife and not actually be a bad guy. But he seems to be coerced into being a bad guy by Poison Ivy when he's in Arkham. Like, she comes in and says, "Hey, if we do this, we can like fuck over everyone." And he's like, "Ah, fine, I'll do it because my wife's, now apparently dead or whatever they were faking."
Yeah, because Poison Ivy kills her, and then at the very end, Batman goes, "I get to do my end part before the end. This is great." He goes, "She's not dead. We found her." I went, "Yeah, but the whole idea was if you turn that machine off, she would basically die instantly because the way she's been frozen, or whatever."
Yeah, because she's kept in a perfect state of when she before thing gets worse.
To be fair, he could have made all his money. I like how we're getting into this conversation about the film, not about the film. We're talking about like this.
It's philosophical, right? Okay.
Right, so see that however he made that substance to put her in a state of suspended animation. This isn't just like going under. This is full on suspend. She will not decay. Nothing will change about it. She could be there for 100 years and be fine. Why didn't you just go to get some grants? Because you obviously knew. Secondly, you already had some form of cure for the disease that she had. You'd have been throwing money at you.
Yeah. So. Yep. I can't actually explain it other than the fact that I think it's better explained in other versions of Mr. Freeze, whereby he does go insane after like experimenting on himself to figure out the cryogenic process.
That would have been a cooler way to go, actually, because they kind of hinted at the falling in. All they had to do was that same wee kind of footage moment, but it's him injecting himself with like the fluid to see if this helps keep you good, and then eventually it fucks his mind.
But like, there's also this idea throughout the film that he says that his heart's now frozen over and he can't feel anything, but yet he's the most emotional character in the entire film who only cares and loves about his wife. Whereas next to Batman, who's like,
"I'm Batman.
Let's punch these bad guys."
Yes.
Like, and the cold stone-faced joke that he makes later on when Barbara turns up as Batgirl, he's like, "She knows our secret. We'll have to kill her then." Like,
like that moment isn't even a joke. He's just like, "Seriously, let's fucking kill this bitch. Like, I'm out."
Yeah, I mean, like, PG rating did fuck this over as well, because like it's a decline if you watch it for the Batman films. They start out as an 18, I'm pretty sure. The original Tim Burton Batman was rated 18 at the time, and then got downgraded over the years to a 12, I think.
Okay.
Because it's no longer what we hold a benchmark for that. Batman Returns was a 15.
Right.
And then Batman Forever was your 12 rated. I think it was even less when it came round to it. Yeah, still 12 rated. And then the PG version that we got with Mr. Freeze and all that garbage.
I think that film, I'm kind of glad it messed it up. Because I think if it didn't, we wouldn't have got Christopher Nolan's version.
Yes,
because it
like,
needed the break.
It did.
Needed that.
Like, a lot of people were actually quite surprised between the distance between the two movies of like Joel Schumacher's. Was it 1997 for the end of Batman and Robin, and then it was like 2000 and what for Batman Begins? Like, was quite early on. Was it not 5 or something like that?
Unsure. Let's see if I can find this. Quickly. Batman.
Hang on, I'll get it. 2005. Yeah, I got it right.
Right. Okay.
Right. So 2005. So that's like, I mean, if you think about it, in the 90s, movies stayed around for a long ass time. Like, you had like they were in the cinemas for up to like 6 months at a time. You had home video releases, which would stay around for the next like 2 years on top of that. And then all of a sudden, someone's like, "Oh, we're making a new Batman." Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. No.
That must have like fucked people over. But now we get a Batman reboot every 3 weeks.
I know, right? God, it's mad to think since the end of the Dark Knight, we've had 3 different, including the Dark Knight version of him, we've had 3 different versions of Batman in under 10 years. That's kind of nutty to think about. Like the other ones had a cohesive
And
style.
that's not including like other things we've had in between, like cartoons, comics, movies, and stuff like that, and so many things.
I wonder, what if you got like the people who actually make the films, right? To make a film, to do the actual on set making it, but went to the DC animated studio for their writers and their directors. Like, have they now people?
Yeah, like tell us how to make this really cool action scene, and like they'd be like, "Oh, you do it this way," and then they just impart that knowledge onto like a stunt director or something else.
Yeah,
That'd be
that
cool.
would be awesome, right? Because it's like a wee bit off topic on it. I was watching a kind of how they made an anime that I watched called God of High School, which is this weird martial art tournament, and the way they done it to make it look real was it was all motion captured and then exaggerated in post to make it anime.
Right.
I'm just like going, I wonder if they could do shit like that. See when they get to the CGI bits of it, where where say you want Batman to do a bit more cartoony Batman-esque stuff, mocap it and then CGI it instead of doing the way that I see them feeling like they do stuff last was they do the real stuntmen and then full on CGI rig person instead of going, why don't we just shove them in a thing way in a mocap room?
Well, I mean, this film did the right thing in hiring like what seemed to be ballet dancers or something to be there. So the fights looked a bit more over the top. Everyone was doing backflips like it was a Backstreet Boys music video.
I love the wire work. I actually really,
it's kind of cool.
I kind of enjoyed that of like watching Mr. Freeze jump off of something and then just fly for a minute. Just like, I am in an old Hong Kong kung fu film.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I just wish they'd gone full in like on that nonsense, because like the nonsense is really well executed. Like it's like someone studied how to make it look as cartoony as fuck, but just put it into the wrong scenario.
Like the ice hockey scene. They played ice hockey with a diamond.
Backflips, and everyone knows how to like apparently play hockey. It's all just fucking crazy ass shit. Like, I just wish they'd like doubled down on it. Put the fucking sock pow whap or whatever.
Every now and then they had the sound. Every now and then they actually had those sound effects, like the really over the top version of it. But they were sporadic. They weren't consistent. Then they just went into like normal, kind of like Hong Kong sounding sound effects of it.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to say, Hannah, based on what you just said about the multiverse type thing, that almost happened. Oh. That actually almost happened. Tim Burton was working on a Superman film with Nicolas Cage as Superman. And they were going to be set in the same dark Batman universe that he'd created. But someone looked at it and went, "What the fuck is this shit?" And it got shit canned, and that's how Joel Schumacher appeared to do the 3rd and 4th movie.
There's a problem with touching Superman, I think. I think everybody's got this romanticized version of Christopher Reeve's Superman. That see if you try and do anything outside of that version of Superman, everybody goes, even though Superman's the most boring character in the whole thing, and then they stop going.
Well, the thing that was going to be cool about that was that he was going for like Brainiac as a villain, like, and it was going to be like a Unicron style, like big orb of like death and stuff, and it was going to have like kind of Cthulhu mythos style stuff put into it, and it was going to be crazy like that. But literally everyone just went, No.
Thank you. Again,
Please, no.
do you know another department of DC that do really well for doing stories like this? The Injustice games.
Yeah. I'm
What?
not gonna lie, like that kind of stuff is like gets the idea between like kind of campy DC stuff and like wacky
Yeah.
multiverse, like actual proper comic book stuff.
It's so cool because I've watched the Injustice 1 and 2 games as
Mhm.
movies. You can find on YouTube where people have just put in just all the cutscenes and see that film. Granted, it's an 11-hour film. Is brilliant, though. They have more character in them than most people in this have. Like,
Yeah.
Harley Quinn's very Harley Quinn, but not so over the top that you're like, I can't listen to you anymore. She seems like a person. The Joker feels like a bad bastard. Like, he actually feels like a bit of an actual horrible person.
Yeah.
Batman has his wee funny moments because he is really serious when he has his funny moments. It's great, and I'm like, just look at your other mediums because they seem to got their shit
I
together.
mean, that's what I was saying earlier. I mean, I think the Batman animated series proved the right formula, and people have been trying to replicate it since and failing left, right, and center. You know?
It's really odd how, because I feel like Batman, we all know Batman now, like from the comics. I think even I could write a really shit but decent, enoughly written Batman-esque film because I know Batman's personality now.
But
It seems to be the people.
I think when we're thinking about this film,
Yeah.
you have to take into account that this was probably not something that someone sat down and wrote.
No.
Because this is studio execs saying we were promised a third Batman film and a fourth Batman film and a fifth Batman film. Please churn out something right now. And they'll also be sitting there like, we need more villains, get 3 of them in there and as many scenes as possible. And someone's tasked with going, fucking hell, right? How am I going to turn this action figure advert into an actual piece of cinema?
This was all just based to make toys. Like everything about like the only reason you would get Arnold Schwarzenegger to play Mr. Freeze in that costume is because that is a toy sitting in front of you. He has the body shape of most toys.
Yep.
And Poison Ivy's we look, giving her multiple looks so you can have multiple toys. Having the two different Batman looks with the black and silver. That fucking black and silver one, man. Oh.
It literally was like every action figure we'd seen up until that point where they're like, it's Night Operation Batman or Ice Zone Batman.
Yes. Do you know the one thing I did quite like? I liked all their equipment. See, like the batarangs and stuff. I thought they were pretty nifty. I thought they were
that fucking intro sequence, right, where it spends up to like 50 minutes. I'm pretty sure they put their belts on twice. Like I can't. It's like, and they grab stuff off the wall, all the accessories, all the batarangs, and they're loading them onto themselves, and you're just like, stop.
Do you know what that was? Right? See the double belt thing. Is
yeah.
They did Batman getting dressed, and then they went to Robin, and then obviously never filmed Robin doing his belt, so they just used Batman's belt.
Did they? Is that what it was? Because I felt like I saw it twice.
Yeah, because
it's like there's another example of that in this where there's the fight between Poison Ivy and Batgirl, right? And Robin gets thrown into the water like at the beginning of the fight, and obviously someone realized in post that the fight goes on for too long, and by that point, if he was still under the water, he'd be dead, right? So they put in this scene of when he gets out of the water, right? But they immediately reverse it so he goes back under. And this is halfway through the Batgirl fight, so they can remind people that he is not drowning and he's also still here, but is just trying to struggle his way back out. It looks so fucking janky. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's too good. Oh
man.
It's
this film. Like, it kills me.
You know, I think the only reason I had so much fun with this film is in the last 2 days, I have watched 2 very serious documentaries. And I think this was such a palate cleanser that I couldn't see the flaws the same as I normally would. And I think that's what it is, because it's just it's so bombastic that I was just happy to have bombasticness.
Yeah, I think for me, it was kind of like, it was so, like, vapid of content. I felt hard to keep my attention, if you know what I mean. Like, I was sitting there going, kind of drifting off every 2 seconds because I'm just like, man, this just keeps fucking going, and nothing is like even happening. I don't care about the characters or what they're doing or why they're doing anything. and it just keeps introducing more and more elements, and you're just like, oh, fuck
Yeah.
me, just stop.
It's an hour and a half film being dragged out to 2 hours as well. Like that should never have been a 2 hour movie by any stretch of the imagination. Like even I was noticing that towards the end. Like see when we got to the observatory stuff, I was done before we got there. I was just like, this is a half-hour fight.
Yeah,
When it's not a
because
fight,
it goes like
it's just like so much stuff happening in that half hour at the end. You're just like,
it is kind of like an electrocardiograph if you looked at the movie, because it goes like introduction, beep, peak, immediately goes straight to Mr. Freeze fight, then it dips for no fucking reason, introduces Poison Ivy 2 seconds later, dips again to do the fucking observatory shit, then it peaks back up for another like big action scene, and then it just keeps going. It's like, oh, Bane's here now and everything else is here now, and it just keeps going, but he's now in jail. Oh no, he's out of jail. And now it's back to
Yeah.
Poison Ivy doing nothing, but now we're going to fight Poison Ivy. She just kind of doesn't die off screen, and then
yeah. I,
it comes back to our fight.
see, the only thing I liked about that going to so many places was we got to see so many places.
Yes, more of the good
Yeah,
set
'cause
design in
See,
Gotham.
when you got to Arkham, we were like, I loved their look at Arkham because it was basically Dracula's castle. They went, we're going to go with Dracula for that Arkham. Mr. Freeze is in a bit. It's the same with the games. They're always in a hideout where you go, why has nobody noticed that the Joker's in there? It is a big clown face. He's hiding in the clown factory. Mr. Freeze is in a
Yep.
giant snow
The
derelict.
clown factory, where we make the clowns.
Yes. Mr. Freeze is in like a snowman factory thing. And then, do you know what was a weird one? The Neon Gang.
Neon Gang was the best part, man.
That guy
It's like
was terrifying looking. Do you know who he looked like? If he didn't have the makeup on? Nomak from Blade 2. See, like the main other vampire. He had that vibe
Yeah.
of him. I thought that might have been the same actor. Because it looked the fucking spit of him.
No idea. I would need to like figure out what that character was called, who's not even got a name in that
Yeah.
fucking film. But I love that kind of idea. It's like they just turn up to this random place, and you're like, what's this got to do with anything? Are they going to take over this gang, and then those gangs are going to be the Poison Ivy gang? No, they just walk in and kick the shit out of them,
Yeah, that's it.
and that's it, guys. That base is not going to be used for like a climactic fight, unless that's what we're supposed to assume the Poison Ivy base was, which looked nothing like it.
Do you know what? I think it's meant to be because the idea is like they put the pipes out to flood.
Oh, they put the water bit in, so that was that place, but it's unrecognizable. It's pretty much fully unrecognizable. The Ronald McDonald house.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
But I
every
love
game.
But I love it though when they walk in and there's like the laser beam lights and all that kind of
Yes.
stuff, just to show off how like fucking badass it is. What is it? Who had a music video like that quite recently? I'm sure it
don't know,
was. I say quite
I don't know. I
recently.
just think
It's
of
probably
Cher
someone
when I
else.
think of like lasers like that. That's it.
Oh right.
So good. That gang reminded me of a Predator game because I need to always bring it back. Remember Predator Concrete Jungle? PS2 game.
Oh, the PS2 game, right? Okay, I was trying to think of the film,
Oh,
but like, no, yes.
if that was
right.
a film, it would be banging. It's like the gang that steals the Predator's invisible cloaks because I'm pretty sure they were all kind of neon-y and like that, and kind of Rastafarian, but a neon version of them. Very cool. Very cool. That was a banging game, by the way. That is like how you do a Predator game. Just what I put out there.
Are we bringing that to one of our Predator
Yeah,
again?
yeah. Well, Arnie was in Predator. There's my segue.
But if you've ever played any of the games based around the Batman and Robin, they are all fucking
Of course
garbage.
they are. Have you ever played a movie tie-in game that's been good?
I'm trying. Give me, give me. No,
No.
I don't. Off the top of my head, no. I can. Oh, The Thing on PS2. It's not a movie tie-in game. It was just made fucking years later, but it's really
Yeah.
good.
Because I always think, see, when they do this, because the Iron Man game that was actually linked to the Iron Man film, same with the Thor 2, I think it
Yep.
might have been Thor 2 when they did that. It's just like, did you just go?
Hey, Thomas has got a point. The side-scrolling beat 'em up of Batman Returns, that had amazing graphics, that had like really cool gameplay. That was
Oh,
quite
here we
cool.
go, we're getting them.
The Lion King game. No, fuck
No,
off.
that's the
You go play that right
that's
now.
the
That's
hardest
a
game.
torture.
ever. Like, that is so difficult. It's like, I played Dead Cells, which is this kind of roguelike, meant to be really difficult game. It ain't got fucking shit on the Lion King game. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. Apparently the Punisher game that came out for the Thomas Jane version of Punisher was actually really good, but I never played it. It was on Xbox, like normal Xbox, if you know
I
what I mean.
never had normal Xbox. I was always intimidated by
I've got one.
by the sheer size of that thing. I was like,
The magnitude of
I
that
was like,
controller.
whoa, that's out of my vibe. Because I never got to play Elder Scrolls Morrowind because of that.
Yeah, there is. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, listen, that's like your bread and butter.
Oblivion was my jump off, you know.
I was gonna say one of the Batman and Robin games that came out was for the PS1, and it's actually kind of like almost a prototype for Grand Theft Auto games.
Nice.
It's got like full 3D free roaming around the city and driving vehicles and stuff, but it's so fucking janky and terrible. Like, it doesn't work, but it looks cool as fuck.
Do you know what's really cool about the Grand Theft Auto games, since we're just going completely off topic here, is how that became a thing. It was actually a racing game, but the police could chase you. It was just like something happened in it where you could break the law and the police came you, but the game was broken, and the police would try and ram you off the road. And they went, that's a cool fucking idea for a game. And then that's how the top-down kind of running away from the police game came about. I was like, mad to think your game didn't work, and it became the biggest franchise in the world.
Yep, that kind of sounds like Rockstar and their entire career path from now on. If you tried to play GTA Online.
Oh dear. Every time I go back to that, I realise it's like I am the freaking noob of that game. When you jump into it and you're like, why has everybody got helicopters and jets and whatnot? And I'm just like, I just want a wee yellow car. A wee yellow car. I've always had this ritual.
Driver was good.
For GTA Online. Any of them. That I always get a yellow estate car. And that's my first car that I get, and I keep it forever.
That's kind of weird.
I did it as a joke once on like the heist, one of the heists, and everybody was raging at me, and I went, well, anytime I make a new character, that's my first car. And I love it.
Just gonna have the bright yellow estate.
Yeah, so good. So good.
But I don't know, like I'm trying to think of other good things to say about this film, but I'm kind of come up with nothing. It looks pretty. It's funny to watch. It's not funny for the right reasons.
Do you know what I'm kind of hopeful for?
It's legendary.
It is. It's like you have to watch it. It's like it's one of those really bad. It's not so bad. It's good. It's just one of those bad films that was so iconic for how terrible it was that you need to kind of see it. See with the new Robert Pattinson Batman. And the idea of coming to Glasgow, and they did some of the stuff in Glasgow. Sadly, they're not coming back. But the idea of getting this more gothic-looking Gotham, like, it's not going to be as gothic and mental as this one, but the idea of going back to that slightly would be cool.
Well, it had the face-painted gangs. Like, it was like almost close to the neon gangs. See if they actually shone a UV light on them, they might look pretty similar. So, like, I like that it's got those aspects to it. You can see it in the set design that there's like, it's not 100% real world. Like, there's kind of funky extra tech thrown on top of it, which I'm digging. Totally. And I kind of want to see that Art Deco feel and kind of weird, like,
the big
gothic architecture and stuff as well.
The big thing about Batman is Batman himself isn't the most. Well, he is ridiculous over the top, but compared to other superheroes, he isn't. The thing that makes him over the top is Gotham. Out of all the cities, outside of the kind of fantasy almost cities, Gotham is the most over-the-top city in like the DC Star City, I think it's called, Metropolis. They feel like normal cities. They just feel like...
But they're like... The weird thing is they're advanced technology and they're all like kind of like prosperous and maybe moving a bit forward. They've got their problems here and there, but then Gotham is just like... It's like the forgotten city that no one fucking gives a shit about, and there's only one guy who's there to fight it.
And it's really cool because it's like, because of the corruption and the crime, their architecture and their world, their city got built completely differently because it felt like it was a world run by not very good people. Well, and I like it. I love it.
It felt like it never evolved. Yes. That was the idea. It's like it's stuck in the 40s or something like that. Like no one decided to come in and build a Starbucks down the road because they're like, we're gonna get burnt out in 2 weeks by the mobsters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Robert Pattinson, I'm looking forward to. And I don't really have much else to say about Batman and Robin.
I I feel like I feel bad for Joel Schumacher. That's what I want to say, right? The guy isn't a terrible director, right? He's done some all right things in his time, but he he shouldn't have taken the job. No one should have taken the job after Tim Burton. It should have just been left where it was, and that would have been it, right?
Yeah,
We didn't need two more Batman
no.
films just so you can sell action figures. Like, come on.
So Freya was saying Batman's not a mutant; he's just a guy with awesome gadgets. I think we need to jump in on that because when you look at what Batman physical feats can do, he can leg press basically the world record and run like a 100-meter sprinter. He
Yep.
can do some of the most ridiculous athletic feats ever by humans. He's the world record holder for everything at this point.
Yep.
Dude is not a human. Dude's a fucking alien but doesn't realise he is yet. That's my take on Batman.
But that's again like that's the issues with this film
Yeah.
in particular, where they do not make any attempt to humanize Bruce Wayne.
No.
They just he's just elevated above us in some fucking platform that we can't touch. He doesn't even look like he works out. He looks like just some guy's dad, and somehow he's got all these fucking powers.
He's Batman. He's that Vine.
Sorry, Batman.
He is basically a absolute method. Here's an interesting thing about him. Somebody did studies on his training regime to become Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it could be done. It can actually, you could train as Batman trains and be Batman,
Who could be Batman?
but your joints would be fucked within a year.
Yep.
And secondly, the reason he gets out around a lot of stuff is he had to basically, as a 10-year-old mind, teach himself how to speed read and take information in that way. He also had to put himself on a sleep cycle where he has 8 power naps so he could be up all night, so that he goes into REM sleep every time he closes his eyes. Which
Wait, so he's more Catman than Batman?
he is basically the fucking yogi man. Like he does like intense meditations that get him into REM sleep when he tries to go to sleep, so he can sleep for 20 minutes, which is equivalent of our like maybe 4 hours of our sleep cycle.
So what you're saying is if you want to be Batman, you better have a trust fund because you ain't gonna hold down a normal job.
Nope, exactly. That's exactly it. It's like that sleep cycle thing is really interesting. They did studies on it. It is possible. It is a possible thing, but it takes about 10 years to be able to get yourself to that point. And it takes strict meditation practices, strict sleeping practices, because you're forcing your body to not act in a natural way. So everything about Batman is a proper superhero.
And that's why Ben Affleck's Batman was the best Batman. Because when you see him like going back to the Batcave, he basically just sits down and goes,
Yep. Yes.
fucking hell, man.
Yeah.
Like he looks like he's gonna grab a bottle of scotch at any second and just pour it into his eyes to forget what he's done for the day. Like that's kind of what I want to see from Battison as well, because I feel like that's the look it's going for, and kind of you see him, he looks fucked. Like even when he's supposed to be out in public doing his Bruce Wayne things, he's like,
yeah, he is done because he's like, I have not slept in 3 days.
yeah. But definitely they should do that.
But the only thing,
A throat punch, sure.
what an offer.
Yeah, I'll take one.
But that's why I kind of like to put Christian Bale's Batman. See, within the 3 films, you realise that the time scale of it is Batman Begins to the Joker is roughly about 2 years, 2 or 3 years, and then he's done because his knees are gone, his shoulders gone, he can barely move, he walks with a cane. Because it's like 10 years later, it's like, yeah, you destroyed your body, and he has to actually get things to help him, and he's fit. He looks weaker. He actually, even when before we have the Bane fight where he gets looked as if he's shit, he looks physically weaker and he needs to use his gadgets just to kind of stack up to like normal guys.
Yeah.
It's quite cool. I like that. I like the idea of that.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan's one had that nice progression. Unfortunately, just like the plots got away from him, and just
Shame, because I quite like the third one of that for all the other bits, but not the main story. Don't worry, it's also my life. It's like I did yoga today and I couldn't get up afterwards because my back went out at the end. And I just lay on the floor going, I'm going to meditate. That's what I'm going to do.
If getting severe head injuries was a superpower, then you'd be that guy.
Forget my name, man.
Guy. Man?
Yeah. I'm basically Jackie Chan from Who Am I every couple of weeks.
Yep. But anyway, we're going to be moving on to the good Batman films.
Return.
Batman Returns
Yes,
next.
Yeah. Which will
Yay.
probably not be next week for everybody to know because of work situations.
Yep.
They'll be whenever it happens. So before I just get into my normal blethering before we finish up, I'll give you a rundown of this. We won't be on a strict schedule anymore because real life has sadly came crawling back like a little weasel. It came in and it was like, oh, you need to make money and work and there. I'm like, fuck you, let me live in a mountain with the internet. So
Yes. Universal basic credit.
yes, whoop, whoop,
No.
whoop.
Basic income even. No, not credit.
Income.
That's the wrong
Universal
one.
basic income. I know we're the worst for needing to go back and have lives outside of sitting still on the computer screens.
Yep.
But because of that, we will be doing the Twitch thing probably. It's one of the things that might not be as regular, but everything we do will be on Spotify now and YouTube. Preferably Spotify because who wants to sit and watch us blether for an hour and a half outside of seeing it live? Like,
Yeah, I mean that's kind of it. Yeah, you don't want to like sit and like stare at our faces for an entire hour on YouTube, being like, "Are they going to do anything?"
Nope.
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 The answer's no.
So,
this ain't the Joe Rogan experience.
yeah. So everything's on Spotify. I'll start throwing out the links to that Spotify a lot more through Twitter and everything. But go drop us a follow on Spotify. Before we wrap up, have you watched anything else this week? If there's anything else interesting you have watched?
The Boys came back, so I started watching the first episode of that. But not going to discuss anything about it in case people haven't seen it. But yeah, like that show's pretty good.
Cute.
Like yeah, they keep a consistent tone, and I'm very glad that they are departing as much as they can from Garth Ennis's books because let's face it, Garth Ennis is a fucking freak show, and everything he does turns into getting slapped in the face of a horsecock. Like that's his projection. So like take his concepts, take his cool ideas, and just fucking run with it. Like and get the fuck as far away from him as you can.
Yes. So that's quite cool. Is that really been it then for you? Has it just been the Boys?
Oh my god, I'm trying to actually think what I've actually spent my time doing. I mostly end up watching garbage on YouTube because I don't have time in my day to do anything.
It happens.
I'm really good like that. Yeah.
I watched
How about yourself?
The Social Dilemma, which is a new documentary on Netflix, and it made me delete my social medias from my telephone. I
Nice.
still have them because it's a way for me to do promoting and stuff like this, but it went more into not about this whole data and things like that. It's about ethical uses of these technologies because there's a really nice quote at the beginning. There's only two industries that call the people that use their products users: drug dealers and the tech industry. Which is pretty fucking frightening when you think about it that way, right?
Is it their fault or is it Tron's fault? I fight for the users.
Yes, but the thing for me with it was more about the way it uses algorithms, not so much to steal your data. They went, your data is not actually the important bit. It is the way that it's using it to change your behaviours and the way you think about things, because it will give you rabbit holes. And it was really insightful. It was really good to watch. We are all in the technological age, guys. Sad to say.
Here's the downside that I don't really know if they touched upon in your documentary is the idea that there is no other alternative though. Because all the media you'll get in print nowadays is based off of stuff that was read online. Yeah. They will not actually do any kind of like proper research or investigative journalism. You will only ever hear the same information regardless. But the other option you have is to cut yourself off completely, and in that state you don't know what's going on
Exactly.
anywhere at any point.
They did actually touch on that, because what they were talking about is, see, because it's all done by algorithms of where things come from and information, they got a really interested about information. What I'll touch on in a second is a fake story is 6 times more likely to circulate through Twitter than real news, because a fake story is got more of a chance of a click, and that click going through the algorithm sets the algorithm off to promote that more, to promote it more. With a real story, because realistically, real news most of the time is an extreme. It's small things that when you look at it will lead to bigger things, because that's journalism. You don't get to know the big baddie at the top doing the stuff. You get to know some of the low stuff that you can start filling in the gaps. But in clickbaity news things, the big baddie did this in the background and we all know the information. No, you don't. That's not how that works. If that was the case, they'd have been destroyed 50 years ago, you know.
But it's all media companies that are the ones that are these big baddies, and they're the ones that are controlling the narrative to make you rise up and fight against X, Y, and Z, because X, Y, and Z is owned by another media conglomerate that they want to destroy. So
yeah. So with the regards to,
it's just too fucking nothing. Like
that's the thing again with regards to information and talking about people on the other side of the fence from you, because it went, what's happened in this is we all, most people, whether what they admit or not, are some form of centralist. You're either centralist left or centralist right. So what happens is you'll have more leftist views and you'll be able to understand and see the other side. Same way a lot of people who see right to left, right? What's happened because of the internet and because of the way things like Facebook and Twitter can alter elections nowadays, because of these things, you're getting extremes of both sides winning elections. So you've got none of the real feelings of the people in the middle, because everyone's behaviour is getting changed to go one way or the other. There's no in between, there's no discourse. And it's not even like these people are bad. They're usually kind, loving, normal people who have been given nothing but information that suits their narrative to the point that they are in their own wee bubble that they can't come out of, that they become defences. Because imagine getting told you're fucking stupid and everything that you think and believe is wrong. You're never going to talk, and it's both sides, and it's mind blowing. And I had to just delete everything and go fucking lie down for 10 minutes.
So basically, this happened to me when I was 12, when I played Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah.
Because they actually explained that that's going to happen to us, and they said that we're all going to be in a societally selected like bubble whereby you'll be told what they call truths.
Yeah.
Because there'll be multiple truths, and you will each know your own truths, and then you will find out what you want. Yeah, I got told that when I was a kid, and I just went, "Oh, great! So I can't trust anything anymore," and that's how the world ends up. It's exactly how we are, and we can't do anything about it. Yeah.
But that
obey.
That was what you was getting at the end of it. It was going an algorithm, because that's the main point. It's the people that built the algorithms is the main problem here, because the algorithms run itself now, because that's the point of the algorithm. That can't tell the difference between truth and fake, because that doesn't matter.
Yep. And also, Freya, no, the solution isn't not to give a shit. It's because that's what they want. They want full, complete apathy from everyone in the universe, so they're very moldable and very controllable. That's how it works. But unfortunately, trying to know what causes the back is very difficult. Like, and which ones will actually get you to the right path. I think the only actual real thing that would work would be anarchy, because therefore it's not following a cause and not following something that can be manipulated. But that's just not something we're going to ask anyone to do.
This is my take on a lot of things like that, is to take even horrible people's thoughts and horrible people's tweets and things with a pinch of salt, because what happens is that's a second thought that's went through someone's head, and they thought, I'm going to fucking tweet this out. It doesn't matter if it gets 1 million likes or whatever, or that. That is a thought in a world of 7 billion people's thoughts, you know? Because the fact is, they'll be given shit information and they're building their life on it. And then we don't have discourse. I think the way you get through all this is kindness and talking. Like, actually talking to people. Yeah. Because we all shout at each other.
But that's the problem, is we can't figure out who invented the false truths in the first place, and who was responsible for spreading the misinformation and all this kind of stuff. It just keeps going and going and going.
I was on my phone and missed how you got onto this.
because Chris watched something and fucked us up, right?
Okay, right, I'm gonna have a
Stop watching stuff, Chris.
or goes a minority in a third world country, positive outlook on the world despite how life is. Do you know what? Kinda, yeah. In that way, it's like I think a disconnect from it in a certain way, because you can't completely disconnect, because if you do, it actually hinders your progress in the first world countries. It does. It's a part of our life. But some form of disconnect where you don't live on it, because we talked about depression in kids. Did you know not as many kids in America are doing their driving lessons because they're depressed by the way social media, you have to put your best self forward, especially with a lot of younger kids now. So because of that, what happens is they don't take risks, because taking a risk means that you could get ridiculed, you could get made fun of, you could get outcasted from the group, which directly affects stuff like driving's a risk. It's a scary prospect to learn to drive, especially when you're younger. More so when you're older, because you're an idiot like me didn't do when he was younger. Because I know death is coming. Right?
Yes, death is coming.
Yes. But it's stuff like that, and it's all this kind of linked in about how to move forward, which is the big thing to take from it. And another documentary I watched was about masculinity, which was very interesting and made me cry. But I don't want to get...
Did its job?
Yeah,
then?
no, it did. It was talking about the man-up culture and how that breeds into rape culture, and how it breeds into a lot of things of anything. Basically, see the kind of empathy, emotional side of you. When the minute you get to like bit 5 or 6, that is seen as a weak trait, and that weak trait is linked to females, to a lot of fathers and older horrible people. They're not even horrible. They've been raised the same way, and and then that ends up making them
Memetics.
Yeah. And then that ends up making a breed of kids who see women as lower creatures when we are all the same creature. And it was beautiful and horrible because it gave you the statistics and stuff, but it was about these people that are trying to push forward and change that thing in kids, because it needs to start at kids. Because by the time they catch them at 18, it's too late. They've already done something horrible.
And it also just like it basically just represses your ability for self-expression, or like to actually just even grow. Like it basically says you must fit into this one mold, and if you don't fit into this one mold, then you have failed at everything, and you're a disappointment to everyone you know.
Exactly. So I agree with Hannah on this one. The one thing in life that's free is love. That's how you actually... It's cheesy, but that's actually how you fix the world. Because once you start actually being able to love people that you by all rights shouldn't, because they're horrible, you can start empathizing, and the minute you start empathizing, you can get to see the root of their problem. Because you can't see... I don't know why I'm knife-handing. Like, fucking politician knife-handing. It's hard to do.
Politician knife-handing? I thought you were doing the T-1000 knife-handing. But, like, there is, like, this idea of, like, extremes in today's culture where you have like the idea of canceling people for their thoughts and views, but the reality of it is their thoughts and views were not really established by them at their core. They were just manipulated into feeling that way. So again, if you hate instead of educate, you fail. Your whole purpose should be not to silence or attack people. It should be to tell them why they're wrong and hope that they will see the light, because that's the only option that you have. Like if you decide, if you know someone who says something that's racist, for example, right? Okay. And you know that that's a bad action, and your immediate reaction to that person is to hate them. But at the same time, you have to realize that they probably live in a family household where they have heard nothing else but this context for the rest of their life. So if you could be that one person who reaches out to them for the first time and says, hey, that's not what you're supposed to do, and that's just fucking awful. Like, how about you talk to them about it and let them understand? Because maybe they could go back to their family and help change their mind on why they've been this way. And then we can just spread that sort of thing across, instead of just telling someone that they should go fucking die. Like, that's the wrong approach.
See, saying that to someone is you're basically being the ist that they are, because their ist is the exact same thing of, that person isn't me, so go fucking die. You telling them that just reinforces their view.
Yep.
Because
sorry, this got off. It's no longer Batman and Robin, people. It's the.
I know. I don't know why it's on my head at the moment. I like to have a chat about it, and I'm quite enjoying our chat talking about it as well. Free love is wonderful, especially if you're polyamorous, pansexual, panic, and free love is wonderful. Cool. My mum is racist. She is.
My mum a wee bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, wee bit. It definitely is then,
No,
because
she
you can't be a
is.
wee
No,
bit. You have to
she
be one or
is.
the other.
She is. And me and Donna's went down, and she talks about things like, and the way she does it is not defending her. She's brought in a way that she has words that used in a way that she doesn't realise how demeaning they are. So when we go to the Chinese, that's not the word she used.
Oh,
When we go to the no, I'm not going to say them obviously. When she goes to the corner shop, that's not the word she uses. And her attitude is, and I'm trying to explain this to her, is she goes, they don't mind when I say it. And I went, it's not that they don't mind. They've been brought up in this area and they've worked here since like the 80s. They know that it's not worth their time getting angry at you anymore, because they know that you don't mean anything by it, but it still probably fucking hurts. And trying to explain that, and this is the argument that gets me a wee bit riled up. It's the only one that gets me. Well, I'm set in my ways. That's when I get a bit angry, and I don't mean to get angry at my mum, because she's a lovely, beautiful woman. But that attitude is what's caused almost everybody in the world to be whatever ist that they are.
Yep.
The younger generation, I have a lot more empathy for, because you've been told that. You've actually just been had that force fed to you by people who should know better. But with the older generation, it's like, you're a grown up. You know you can change. That's the point of being a grown up.
They know it's wrong. That's the fucking problem, and they just keep at it, but they just because they can't think for themselves anymore. They don't want to. It's like when they say like they can't be bothered like learning a computer, and it's like you're just being fucking like ignorant. It's what you're doing.
Pig-headedness. Here's a question for you. See, when you were younger and being a guy, did you ever get told by family members, friends, or even just like even certain teachers to man up or act like a man?
Like,
have you ever been told by this is a weird one as well to add to this, have you ever been told by a girl to man up or act like a man?
Yeah. I mean, like it's a massive part of my life, because let's face it, I am not a man, right? This is not who I am as a person. I am just whatever, like, and I don't give a fuck about masculinity and stuff. But yeah, I've been told millions of times that I need to change who I am to suit other people's ideals of what they should expect.
This is quite interesting, because very different probably takes on this. How did you deal with getting told that? Like, if I know it's a long time ago, but how did you deal with getting told that? Did it make you angry? Did you get sad? Like, or did you just not give a fuck because you have that kind of air of?
Generally, like the only thing it ever seems to do for me is just like instigate a challenge or an argument, like as such. Like I used to get annoyed by stuff, and now I just don't actually care what people ever say about me. It used to like, I find it demeaning a lot of the time when people like attack your character and who you are. I should not have to like live up to someone else's standards just because that's what they expect of me.
Do you know what? Bravo. You are a bigger person than I am. When I was younger, I won't lie, I was not a nice person. I was a bit of a bully in that, and 90% of it was because if you didn't solve your problems by fighting, you were, sorry to everybody out there because it's the only way, you were a pussy. And that was my life, and I got the shit kicked out of me so many times because of it, because if I got punched in the face, that means I need to fight with you. If someone disagreed with me, I need to fight with you. And the worst one for it as well with that, and it was again, I don't blame him, was my stepdad. He was actually quite a gentle person, but when it came to this, that switch clicked of normal person to man mode. That's their typical man mode. So I got into a fight when I was 10 or 11, and the boy beat the shit out of me. We were just boys roughhousing. They got a bit too serious, and then he walloped me about. My stepdad dragged me downstairs and made me fight with him. He went, men don't run away crying, and he made me fight with him. And it was a weird time. It was a weird time because that's a trend of me martial arts and stuff, but not in a way to discipline, in a way so I know if I need to fight with somebody.
Just the hard people.
And it set up a whole a whole path in high school that wrecked me, that took me so long to be me now. And it's mental. It's just, everybody should watch these documentaries. So the social media one is quite cool. It's called The Social Dilemma. And the masculinity one is really good for a teaching exercise. It's called A Mask We Live In. So a masculine, get it? It's quite clever. Donna pointed out to me. I was like, that's fucking quite good. That. And I know I derailed this podcast onto this, but I feel like these are very interesting conversations, and I like to actually bring them up.
No, I'd like to do more kind of talks about like certain documentaries and stuff as well. I feel like we can do deep dives on some of them and actually get into some other subject matters. It'd be quite cool.
Because just in general, I like talking about these kind of things, and as we've seen when we were very, very briefly talk about certain conspiracy stuff, and like I tried it on my stream, I like talking about philosophy and things because I think the way you solve problems is this. This is how you figure out things: is you talk.
Don't say the word Discord because people will just go and install Discord.
No, it's Discord.
Yes, you don't solve problems with Discord.
All right, I'm going to actually have a quick read through the chat now because I've been talking.
I've been reading along, so I'm keeping.
I got to. Do you know what it was? I got really into my story. I was telling. Yes, happy commune, guys. Let's start one. You've got cult in your name. We're already halfway there. We're done.
I've already launched the cult, yeah.
Casual racism is accepted, and that's what breeds. Yes, I totally agree with that. The idea of casual racism is what actually starts that trend into.
That's what made Brexit happen.
Very
That's
true.
what I fucking did. Yeah.
Right. Oh, look, they love you for who you are, Mark. Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna. I had a very high tolerance, and when I lost my temper, even my teacher would go, "Well, if she got you, you asked for it for a long time, so it didn't come crying. Now you tell." Yeah, I totally feel that. That's exactly what it is.
I mean, like, for me, it was kind of this opposite idea where people kept telling me my entire life that I shouldn't fight people, but people wanted to fight me because I didn't fall into their category. So literally, I had to spend most of my life being told, "Just get the shit kicked out of you, because you don't fucking stand up for yourself. You shouldn't do anything." And I'm just like, what? Yeah. And people wonder why I have weird complexes about absolutely everything. It's like, yeah, because you're told from childhood you're fucking worthless.
Yes, I totally get you. It's like, it's kind of odd because like, right now, us as younger people, we would have never been on the same thing with. Because I was a Ned. Let's be honest, I was a Neddy boy. That's who I was. Gang fight at the weekends, all this madness. But see, when I was in high school, see the people I really like to talk to were, not to put a box, but it's the easiest way to describe it, the kind of geeky, softer kids, because they spoke to me. They didn't, because I was, see the size I am now, that's what I was like at 15. Like, I grew quick, and I was in the gym all the time, and I was doing fighting all the time, like martial arts and that. So I was seen as one thing. And when you get that, you get a wee bit of power. You get a bit of respect. It's not respect. It's
the wee geeky kids were just trying to use your muscle. Yeah. Like, right, stop getting our lunch money taken, Chris. Come on. Back us up.
With the other Neds, that's what it was like, though. It was like, that's the bigger guy that we can put at the front. But with the wee geeky guys, that's how I found out about stuff like Mass Effect. And like Elder Scrolls. It's all the things that really define who I am now. It was because of talking to these people who, admittedly, at first I was fucking horrible to, because they were different from me. They were weak compared to me, when realistically they were stronger than anything I ever was, because they were happily in touch with who they were. So to all the people I apologise for, you'll never see this, but yous really helped me, really indirectly, to make me a better person, because I'm one of the softest people on the planet now. Yeah. I was social floater who floated between different. I was kind of like that, but I think some of the groups just let me speak to them because they thought if they didn't, I would hit them. I was like, that was never the case.
I was probably most voted likely to be a school shooter, I'm assuming, in my, because like I literally had like I talked to nobody, and
Oh my goodness.
I had like maybe one friend, two friends at most. I don't know. I just didn't fucking like go near anyone because they're all scum.
High school's hard, man.
Yep.
So I think that's a perfect time to end it. Be nice to everybody. Be kind. It's a great way to be.
Yep.
Everybody can. As
the school system is a farce.
I think the best thing the Dalai Lama ever said about anybody is, we all can be kinder. Doesn't matter who you are, just be a bit kinder. And that is what to take away from today. One, Batman Robin's a good laugh, even if Mark says it isn't. come on the bat nipples and be kinder to everybody.
Yep. Be kind to Joel Schumacher. He didn't make this movie intentionally bad. He just wanted to have some fun.
Yes.
He's made some really good movies. Go watch Falling Down. It's a really good film. 8mm. Just
Ooh, I didn't-
just he's done some good stuff.
Okay.
Just don't blame him for Batman and Robin, okay?
So,
R.I.P. Joel.
yes. Salute him.
He died like this year, last year? I can't remember what year this is anymore, but he died recently. Poor Joel.
Yes, Hannah. Keanu Reeves said be excellent to each other. That's the thing to take away from this. So I would like to thank everybody for sticking around and our social deep dive of documentaries I watched and
Yep,
I-
and Batman and
and
Robin.
Batman and Robin, our wee side project of Batman and Robin. But thank yous for sharing your stories and things as well, because that's, for a lot of people, it's not an easy thing to do. Kind of open up that way about certain things. So thank you guys in the chat for actually sharing some of the stuff that you went through. It's quite nice to see. So,
Yep.
Ending thing. What is it again? Yeah, it's always a pleasure, and we have been always the worst. I got cough and everything else there. So thanks again, everybody. See you.
just-
Bye.
All right, bye-bye, y'all. Life is a simulation.